Hey everyone, how's it going? Today we are going to do yet another LeetCode problem because that's what we do here on this channel. If you're new, please consider subscribing. If you're not new and you're not subscribed yet, well then, why aren't you subscribed yet? Today, the first thing we're going to do, as we do every time, is of course our wildlife wild fact. And today, we're talking about Burmese pythons. So Burmese pythons are a very large species of constrictor snake that live in Southeast Asia. But they're also really big in the exotic pet trade in America. And as a result, they have become an incredibly invasive species in the state of Florida. Now, when they're much smaller, they do have some predators like the other cat species and bird species in Florida, especially in the Everglades. However, once they reach a certain size, they no longer have any predators and they're able to run rampant across the state. Now, you might be wondering, how big could a snake possibly get? Well, Burmese pythons actually can grow to be over 20 feet long, though don't worry, they only average 16 feet long or so. To learn more about Burmese pythons, check out the links in the description below. Alright, so today we are doing LeetCode problem number 832 called Flipping an Image. It is an easy LeetCode problem, but it deals with a skill that is incredibly important when you are doing these sorts of problems, and that is swapping two elements in an array. The question states, given an m by n binary matrix called image, flip the image horizontally, then invert it, and return the resulting image. To flip an image horizontally means that each row of the image is reversed. For example, flipping 1, 1, 0 horizontally results in 0, 1, 1. That makes sense. That is literally just the same array but reversed. To invert an image means that each 0 is replaced by a 1, and each 1 is replaced by a 0. For example, inverting 0, 1, 1 becomes 1, 0, 0. So that right off the bat tells you that we are only dealing with zeros and ones. Let's get into it. So the first thing that we need to do is horizontally flip an image. Remember, that means that we reverse the image. So how are we going to reverse the image? Well, the way we're going to do that is by using a classic swap. So the first thing I'm going to do is, of course, loop over the original input array, a. So while I is less than a.length and while I plus it. You could do this with a while loop. I'm going to do it with a nested for loop, and I'll show you why. We're going to create this for loop, and I'm going to make my variable name start. So this is the variable that is going to start at the beginning of the subarray. I'm actually going to make this a two-pointer problem. So I'm going to use start at the start of each array, but I'm also going to put a pointer at the end of each array. And that pointer needs to be instantiated outside of this inner loop. And I'm going to call it end, and it will be placed at a at I dot length minus 1. That's going to put it at the very last element of each subarray to start. And then inside this double loop, all we need to do is our swap. So we'll start with the temp variable, and in it, we're going to store a at I at start. And then what we're going to do is take a at I at start and set it equal to a at I at end. So we're taking the first element of our array and we're putting that value into a temporary variable, and then we're taking the value of the last element in the array and storing it in the first element of the array. And then all that's left to do is take that temp variable and store it in the last element of the array, or where the end pointer currently is in the array. So A at I at end equals temp. And then, since start is going to increment each time, we also need to decrement end each time so that they move in one by one as we go through these iterations. So end minus minus. And what I'm going to do here is console log our array so far so you can see what I mean. What this results in is each row, if you noticed my mistake, congratulations. I forgot to only loop through this array for half of the length of the array. What ended up happening was we looped through the entire length of the array, so we swapped everything once, and then we swapped everything again. So we need to loop through only the first half of this array using each of those elements as our point of interest so that we could swap it with its analogous element on the other half of the array. If we go past the halfway mark in the array, then we just swap everything back to where they originally were, and we don't want that. But now if you look at our console log, here in our standard out, you can see that our very first array here, which was 1, 1, 0, is now 0, 1, 1. It's harder to tell with the next two because 1, 0, 1 and 0, 0, 0 look the same backwards and forwards, but we can tell that it's working because of our very first subarray. So I'll close that, and we go on to the next part of our problem, which is much, much easier. We just need to swap all of our ones with zeros and all of our zeros with ones. So I'm going to loop through another for loop with I, and now we're looping through the array that we just changed. So each subarray that we're looping through is this reversed version of the subarray. And we put an inner loop with J, and I'm just going to use a conditional. I'm going to say if A at I at J, so this is each individual element, is equal to a 1, I want to go ahead and make it a 0. Else, we have no other possibilities here. Either it's a 1 or it's a 0. It's very binary. We are just going to turn it into a 1. And there you go. At the very end, we will return A. We run the code. Boom. We can submit the code. And there you have it. An 80 millisecond solution. Pretty fast. There are faster solutions here on LeetCode, and I urge you to please check them out. They involve mapping over the original array. They're one-liner solutions. I think that this solution, even though it is the brute force way, is much more verbose and easier to understand. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Once again, please consider subscribing below. Don't forget to hit that like button as well. If you like the wildlife wild fact and you want to learn more about any animal in the world, please put that in the comments below. I've got a running list and I'm always looking to add more to it. If you like this LeetCode problem, let me know that in the comments below too. And of course, if you have any other LeetCode problems you'd like to see me solve, put that in the comments below as well. I'll see you next time.